I'm Bob Hawrylo, President of United Precision Corp, located here in Washougal, Washington. Here at United Precision Corp, we make space-related products and products for the defense industry.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Bob, what does United Precision manufacture?
We manufacture space and defense products where quality and reliability are critical. Truly, failure is not an option. Our primary space products are machine metal seals and pressure relief products. Our main defense products are components for the U.S. Navy's vertical launch system.
How does United Precision support the local economy?
Manufacturing, Joe, generates more economical activity than any other sector. For every dollar of domestic manufacturing spent, anywhere between $3 to $5 of economic activity is generated. As an example, we buy certified domestic material which is locally treated. We manufacture a part which is coated in Vancouver. It is returned to us for inspection, sent out to a neighboring Washougal company for cleaning. It returns for final inspection, is shipped out. In this example, 4 local companies benefit.
What are some of the federal regulations that impact United Precision?
The EPA has many regulations that impact production. We all want clean air and to protect the environment. But there's regulations that have been imposed that are counter to the real benefits of the environment and to UPC.
How can Congress support American manufacturing?
Joe, there are many ways, but let me just give 3 examples. First, allow deduction of research and development expenses in the year they occurred. Since 2022, businesses are required to amortize R&D expenses over 5 years. Previously, we were allowed to deduct R&D expenses in the year they occurred, like ordinary business expenses. Obviously, this is a deterrent to R&D investment. Second, streamline cybersecurity regulations and decrease compliant cost. Defense work requires adhering to strict cybersecurity requirements. However, the requirements are burdensome, inconsistent, confusing, and sometimes just contradictory. This creates a complicated and risky situation when trying to protect data. Finally, the cost to implement is high enough to be a barrier of entry for most small businesses. Lastly, we need to extend or make permanent the Tax and Jobs Act of 2017. This expires at the end of 2025. This allows us to deduct 20% of our qualified business expenses. The bill also temporarily cuts taxes on new equipment purchases and other qualified assets.
What's the greatest threat your company faces?
There's many. I'd say increased taxation, costly regulation compliance, and difficulty filling skilled trade positions such as machinists, welders, and electricians.
Marie Perez voted to support Joe Biden's efforts to undermine American manufacturing by making it easier for companies from India and China to get U.S. government contracts. What's your reaction to that?
Ms. Perez must not understand the harm in allowing this to occur. They're not held to the same regulatory or quality standards. One product we produce for defense requires rare earth metals. When we couldn't obtain it in the U.S., we got authorization to purchase it from a foreign country. However, when it was brought in and tested, it was contaminated and couldn't be used. If that was used in the final product made in China, a defective defense product could have been the end result.
Do you think that foreign manufacturers that operate in their own countries with no labor laws, no environmental protections, and receive heavy subsidies should be allowed unfettered access to the American market to compete with you?
Absolutely not. Allowing this to happen could potentially put UPC out of business.
Have you tried to get your products sold in China? If not, what's preventing you?
We've not tried to sell to China, and we're not interested in doing so. Once we supply our products, they will request our drawings. This will allow them to reverse engineer the product and eventually produce it themselves.
What has Marie Perez done to support your company?
Nothing.
Thank you so much. This was a great conversation today.
Thank you for coming, Joe.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care. American manufacturing is under siege from foreign competitors that don't compete on a level playing field. Making it worse is that Joe Biden and Marie Perez are both creating dangerous loopholes to buy American rules for critical infrastructure to allow foreign competitors to undercut American jobs and wages, while putting our country's survival and national security at risk. Biden and Perez are crippling American innovation by taxing research and development. I'll fight to make research and development tax-free to reward American innovation. From pharmaceuticals to farm equipment, from semiconductors to beam seals, supporting American manufacturing is about protecting our livelihoods and our sovereignty. And that's what I'll fight for in the U.S. Congress. Thank you to Bob Hawrylo for sitting down with me to talk about American manufacturing. And thank you for watching this episode of Get Local with Joe, a series where I talk to people in our community about our local issues. You can support my campaign at joekentforcongress.com.